This is Sam Vaughan for Sam Sports Report. Today's date is Friday, September 22nd, 2023. Today we're going to go into Shawn Watson. He had a great college career, but didn't show it and was drafted in the first round at number 12 by the Houston Texans. Honestly, I wanted him over Patrick Mahomes, but thank God the Chiefs didn't listen to me. His rookie season, like many quarterbacks, started out slow. He was pretty good in 2018 and he had a 24-point lead to the Kansas City Chiefs after winning their first playoff game, but that 24-0 lead quickly evaporated, and the Chiefs came to win big in that playoff game, in the divisional round. In 2018, he made his playoff, but lost in the first round. It rumored started after the sexual allegations in 2021. The Texans were not going to play him through the court in 2021. And after the season was over, it came to evident that the Houston Texans did not want him to stay in Texas. Look, if he was playing in Atlanta or somewhere else, that would be that different. But since he's playing in a party state like Texas and a party city like Houston, it was announced that he would serve the longest NFL suspension, as we talked about, 11 games. Terrible. Last 9 games, he's never thrown over 300 yards, at a ratio of 7 to 5 touchdowns, 7 since he's been in the last 5 games. In the first season, he was 3-3, with he says that 7 to 5 touchdown ratio of interceptions, and never had over 300 yards. We said that too. This year, he hasn't thrown for 300 yards either. Baker Mayfield is 30 years old. Pick any version of the last 8 games. Former Brown quarterback owns a completion percentage almost 8 points higher than Shawn Watson. In the same span, according to Football Reference, and Mayfield's quarterback rating is 11 points better at about 1.7 of Watson's price. During 2021, which he supposedly confidence the Browns, but Baker Mayfield was good enough. He posted a higher completion percentage, adjusted passer temp, average depth, target, quarterback rating than Watson during his Cleveland tenure. Even if this isolated numbers against the Steelers, who held his offense to a 15.3 per game points in 7 regular season matchup, he still owns a slight edge, touchdown to interception ratio, average depth target quarterback. Reminded that the Browns acquired Watson and exceeded a peak of approach. Not approximately, the former star narrator and before Watson defenders started listening to excuses, consider Mayfield suffered a torn labrum, a broken
humerus
bone in the left arm during the 2021 season, during former starter, which only missed 4 games. And over the last 8 years, players for 3 different franchises, Baker Mayfield, in Carolina, he was 14 of 20 for 155 yards and a touchdown. And they benched Baker Mayfield, P.J. Walker, after sitting 3 weeks. He led a drive of 98 yards in just 2 days after signing with the Rams. In 2 weeks, into the 2023, Mayfield ranked 7th in quarterback expected EPA per play. Watson is ranked 30th. How is that for rust? Of course, none of the scenarios complete the 700-day gap between Watson's final Houston Week 17, 2020, and his first week with Cleveland, Week 12, 2022. But how long can the Browns clinging. The first that excuses, and at some point we have to do a starting grade and a curved talent. We don't need numbers. I understand Watson was at that point a much better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. But he's a reminder he has made 3 Pro Bowlers to Baker Mayfield 0. And during Watson's worst statistical quarterback rating of 98, 5 draft picks, almost $250 million later, Watson looks worse than either quarterback ever has. The Browns are asking for patience. Watson returns from perhaps his unique layover, requires a unique adjustment period. But the fans aren't asking for much in return. Forget the Pro Bowls. How about a progress of which Watson isn't showing a ton after posting 2 of his last 4 worst Cleveland quarterbacks ratings in the last 2 weeks? Or proficiency, which would be good enough to win this season, alongside dominated defensive and pricey offensive line. The Browns that kind of one question once, but they dumped him for Watson potential. And 8 games later, the potential is still his best trait. Watson fulfilled eventually, but his fans grew impatient. His offensive, now without Nick Chubb, who is out for the season, is longer struggles. The Cleveland must cope with an uncomfortable truth. The Browns are still waiting to see their quarterback they traded everything for as one they dumped. Here is more with Shanon Sharpe and Chad Johnson. This is Sam Vaughan for Sam Sports Report.
You know what, Ocho? We got to have an open and honest conversation. It's time to talk about the Browns quarterback. That man got a big contract, 230 fully guaranteed. He threw a pick 6. He had a scoop and score, and he threw another. And he had another fumble. And at some point in time, we can't keep blaming it on Russ. We can't keep saying, Ocho, it's early. They paying this man he got that gargantuan contract. It's time to put up, Ocho.
He has that gargantuan contract based on what he did in a season, 2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
in 2021, 2021, if I'm not mistaken, right? You know, when he took Houston,
he missed. He missed that. But remember, he didn't play. Remember, because of all the other stuff that was circulating. So he didn't play that year.
It was the season before that.
Right.
So he got the contract based off the 2020 season then.
Correct.
For that matter. For the 2020 season, put up crazy numbers. He gave people crazy work in that season with the Houston Texans. If you look at what he had to work with.
Yes. But here's the thing, Ocho.
Listen.
Look at
the Texans roster. Look at the Texans roster.
Ocho, he's not on the Texans roster. He's on the Browns roster. Now, this is what he did
with much better talent. With much better talent surrounding him.
So you agreeing with me?
Oh yeah, I'm agreeing with you. But again, we in week 2, huh? We in week 2.
So hold on. Time out. Hold on. When you had a bad game, when did people give people consolation when you a top dog and you making big money? They say, "Oh man, it's only week 1." Ocho, okay. Oh, it's only week 2. When did we get that kind of concession? Hold on. I'm asking you a question. Did you get those kind of concessions when you played? Yes or no?
At times, yes, especially when it was early.
That explains why the Bengals were in the situation they were in. Because Ocho, you making top dollar, you one of the highest paid, and you're gonna base it on early?
No, you wanted the top paid for a reason. You wanted the top paid for a reason.
Okay, you gotta live up to that reason.
So, he threw a pick 6 tonight, right?
He threw a pick 6, and he gave him a scoop and score.
It was a scoop and score.
Yeah.
Whose fault was it on the pick?
Well, I didn't like the route. Hold on, I didn't like the route combination because I don't like a stop route outside with the stick inside when you're playing man coverage. So you see when Minka walk, the safeties walk. That's man. So it was kind of like I didn't like the combination, but the tight end pulled up. Bro, I don't know why you pulled up because you see Highsmith walks with you. So therefore, it's telling you it's man coverage, and you got and Deshaun threw it. But you know how this goes. Whoever threw the ball, that's who gets credit. The interception don't go on your resume. It went on Carson's.
Okay, but this is what I like though. The fact that we know what happened, the fact that you don't like the combination of the route combination.
No, I did not.
Let's talk about that instead of saying, well, it's Deshaun's fault. We have the platform to let the people know it's not Deshaun's fault because of so and so or whatever it may be schematically. We can't just say, well, it's Deshaun's fault. We know the game of football, and you know why it was the interception. So I don't want to put it on nobody else.
In what you've seen from Deshaun last year and this year, is he living up to that payday?
Wait. Last year we had a small sample size and nothing but 6 games. Now I know we're not basing nothing off of that.
Cleveland should give him a small sample size of his contract. So until you start paying better, then I'll pay you the portion of your contract. Come on, Ocho, we got to stop this. We making concessions for guys that never got concessions made for in the past because we like them. I like Deshaun too, but Deshaun is not living up to it.
I like everybody, but he got a contract, right? But he hasn't even been able to play a full season yet to say anything regarding the contract that he did get. He got it for what he did in the past. No,
Ocho. We give you a contract based on what we can believe. We've already paid you for that. We paid Deshaun. So now we're paying you based on what we can believe you can do.
Look, we in week 2. You ain't played a whole year. You had 6 games last year. We basically